Please stand. Lord, you have entrusted us as stewards of your creation. Please guide our hearts as we make our decisions. We seek you first in all that we do. We give you our service and our workforce. May we always be mindful of their service. We confess that we are nothing without you, and our trust is in you completely. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
They call the meeting to order at 4:10. Need to approve minutes from the previous meeting.
I'll move to approve.
Second. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. At this time, any public comment on agenda items only? Seeing that there is none, we will skip to 5.1 on the agenda, and we want to proclaim the month of November as Infant Safe Sleep Month. And I believe Commissioner Marabito is going to read the proclamation.
Proclamation. Whereas the safety of children in Lycoming County is of the utmost importance, and whereas thousands of infants in the United States die each year due to placement in an unsafe sleeping environment, infant fatalities caused by unsafe sleeping environments are entirely preventable. And whereas the safest sleeping environment for infants is alone in an empty crib while lying on their backs with a tightly fitted sheet, as well as warm, comfortable sleepwear. And whereas the National Institute of Child Health and Human Development provides family members and child care providers with access to resources about creating safe sleeping environments for infants on their website. And now, therefore, the Commissioners of Lycoming County hereby proclaim the month of November 2019 as Infant Safe Sleep Month in Lycoming County, and we encourage the community to spread awareness of how to create a safe sleeping environment for young children throughout the county. In witness whereof, we have set our hand and sealed this 21st day of November 2019. Lycoming County Commissioners R. Jack McKernan, Chairman, Tony Armasayer, Vice Chairman, Richard Marabito, Secretary.
Thank you. And I think Kate, you want to...
I have Kim Smith as well as some of our other partners here today, but Kim's just going to briefly educate about, I think, a lack that we have in our community about educating with safe sleep in car seats.
So when we talk about safe sleep, we often think about cribs and pack and plays, and that is absolutely what we want you to think about. But we also want you to understand that when a baby is in a car seat, especially an infant carrier, you don't want to leave that baby in that carrier outside of the vehicle. Those carriers are designed to work with the vehicle seat to have the right recline, and a baby in a carrier is not safe on a flat surface. You don't want to have the carrier sitting on a table or anything like that, and you also don't want to loosen the harness because a baby that can move around can also get strangled by the harness as well. So I'd like to remind everybody that with safe sleep, that you should not be have a baby sleeping in a car seat.
Good morning, and thank you, Commissioners, for once again proclaiming November as Infant Safe Sleep Month this year in Lycoming County. Also, a thank you to Representative Garth Everett, as the resolution was passed yesterday to recognize November as Infant Safe Sleep Month across the state of Pennsylvania as well. I have some flyers in the back of the room regarding the event we're going to do on Monday with Representative Everett at UPMC if anyone is interested in attending that. As we approach Thanksgiving, I just want to say how incredibly thankful I am to be a part of the Cribs for Kids program in Lycoming County. The help of many partners such as the Commissioners, Representative Everett, the Lycoming County Health Improvement Coalition, UPMC Susquehanna, the Department of Health, STEP, WIC, PennDOT, Expectations, ELECT. We have reduced the number of infant deaths due to unsafe sleep practices in our community. Last year, I stood in the same spot and said how grateful I was to have not had an infant death in 3 years, but unfortunately, we will not be able to add a fourth year to that record. Although I am incredibly saddened at the loss of another child, I am thankful to know that it was not because of lack of education regarding safe sleep. As a mother of 2 young boys, I know that I will never be a perfect parent, but every day I make effort to do better for my children, which I believe is a shared goal for all parents in our community. In educating our community about safe sleep, I hope that I can instill the idea that with the research done by the American Academy of Pediatrics, we know better now, so we should do better. Safety practices have changed, and how mom and dad and grandma and grandpa put us to bed years ago is not recognized as the safe way to put our babies to sleep now. Survivors of unsafe sleep were and are because of luck. In 2017, there were 3,600 sudden infant deaths in the U.S. 900 of these infants were victims of accidental suffocation or strangulation in bed. Babies who sleep in adult beds have a 40 times greater risk of dying. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, babies should share your room, but not your bed for the first year of life. All caregivers need to remember the ABCs of safe sleep. Babies should be sleeping alone on their backs in a safety-approved crib with a firm mattress and no bumpers, blankets, pillows, or toys. Through the Lycoming County Cribs for Kids program, we have distributed 39 pack-and-plays and 1 full-size crib to families in need so far for 2019. These have all been provided through grant funding and donations at an approximate value of $2,500. In closing, I want to give recognition to Chuck, our coroner, and his wife Gail for bringing this program to our community 10 years ago. In the coroner's office, we recognize that every day we wake up breathing is a milestone. So in closing, I would like you all to wish Chuck, also my dad, a very happy birthday.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Kate, for bringing this to our attention. As a new grandfather, I certainly will be looking out to make sure that my daughter and her husband are properly instructed. We do appreciate the time that you've taken to do this today.
Commissioners, can we make special note of the demonstration unit they brought over there?
The live baby.
It's in the budget.
Don't inspect that, Chuck, please.
No, I also want to say thank you, and I think it's important, something you pointed out, that a lot of grandparents are raising children, and they raised children 50 years ago or 60 years ago. And also their cultural issues with as our country becomes more diverse, because in many parts of the world children sleep with infants. I think maybe it's important, if you can, to sort of educate us as to what is the difference between, if a family in Thailand that's sleeping on flat mats or however, because in many countries of the world the kids do sleep. Sometimes the only place they have is one cot. And so is it that parents roll over on mattresses, they suffocate kids get tangled up in blankets? And tell us, if you can, just so that we can sort of give the public a little more education so they can understand.
I think a lot of it is probably due to, in the United States, we have these big fluffy mattresses, and you drop into a mattress, more of a divot, where in a lot of these countries they don't have the same things that we have, the soft, fluffy pillow top mattresses where the infant can get drawn in towards that adult, and then it doesn't take anything to occlude an infant's mouth and nose, which is their lifeline. And that's typically what we see with these co-sleeping deaths when we go back and we actually do dull reenactments with a lot of these as part of our investigations with law enforcement. And we find that, they innocently thought, hey, they were tired, they put the baby down in bed with them because they just didn't want to get out of bed and go to the crib. And unfortunately, we find out that the baby got rolled up against them and asphyxiated. We do full autopsies on all these deaths, and we find nothing as far as the cause of death in any of these infants other than the fact that they were co-sleeping.
I think also people have to recognize that with breastfeeding, sometimes the whole process can, if a child's breastfeeding in bed with you, that you can fall asleep. That infant is still in a position that might be vulnerable. So,
yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Come on.
We came for support.
No, well, your support for pictures. Well, Kim, I'm taking pictures. Your support.
Somebody else can take a picture. Come on up.
You come up first, and then you can take it.
Yes. You already did it. She did. Okay.
Come here for both.
Oh, there's the camera over there. Good day, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Next, we would like to take a few minutes. We have 4 different service pins that we want to hand out this morning, and thank the following people for service to the county. Okay, we'll start with one at a time.
First, we have Nikki Brelsford. Her service began November 9th, 2009, in the Controller's Office, so it would be a 10-year service.
The Controller, would you like to?
I've known Nikki and kind of grown with Nikki since the early 2000s. We started working together in the banking industry. And she came over here as a part-time clerk initially and finished an HR degree and left and decided that it was better here. So she came back. And as my deputy in every position she's been in, her yearning to learn, to grow, her professionalism, anybody that's worked with her on a project can testify to her professionalism and knowledge and strength. And I just appreciate the fact that she's here and she's getting this 10-year pin today.
I want to thank Nikki, especially for coming back. How long ago?
Not back.
Let's
make that very clear.
What was the official birth date?
October 18th.
October 18th.
It'll be 5 weeks tomorrow.
Geez, wow. Well, thank you very much for your service to the county, and I've enjoyed getting to know you over the last 4 years, and I certainly echo Krista's comments that you are always there when needed, and that you do go above and beyond to service the Commissioner's office and meet the needs of the public, I'm sure. But I greatly appreciate your dedication.
Commissioner Marabito said he'd open up a nursery here so you come back early.
That is a serious issue that we need to talk about someday soon. Is what do we do with child care right here in the building? You know, I told people in 1978 when I was working in the healthcare industry, we were negotiating contracts with daycare centers in hospitals in 1978. That's almost 42 years ago. I think we need to do that now because the higher percentage of our women are working. But in any event, thank you very much for your 10 years and in the 4 years I've gotten to know you. Thank you for what you've done in stepping up to the plate when there were difficult times. And you helped out not only the individuals in your office, but you helped out the public and us, and we appreciate it.
Do them individually.
Yeah, we'll do them individually.
Okay, that's good.
Sorry.
So-
Let's have a round of applause. I said, what's the name? So what's your
Feisty like your mother.
No.
She did this on her own.
Oh, no. Come, controller. Come on.
Sorry.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
Hold your hand, Jack.
Okay.
Awfully quiet over there. Commissioner, were you looking for an opportunity to kiss a baby?
All right, next we have Michelle McDermott. She began her service November 16th, 2009. She's in the fiscal department. So her service pin is for 10 years of service.
Thank you. Beth?
Michelle is an exemplary employee. She always goes above and beyond. She's very professional. Anyone that speaks to her on the phone knows how professional and easygoing she is, and she's always helping anybody that calls her. So we're very lucky to have her, fiscal and the county. And she keeps us straight.
Thank you. I also would like to thank Michelle. She quietly goes about making sure everything is done. If there is a special project, she will take it on. She always has worked for the best interest of the fiscal department, and she seems to be the right-hand woman for both Brandy and Beth and Lori, and always getting things done on a timely basis for the commissioners. And I think that the cash requirement report we look for every Monday morning, it's always done. So I do thank you very much for the for getting the for being as committed to the county as you've been, and hopefully you'll be here for many more years.
Michelle, where are you? You know, I've noticed in your work that you have a great capacity for paying attention to detail and for analyzing data and for putting it in a format that we can look at quickly, and that is incredibly helpful. I just want you to know that, and I hope that we say thank you every time you give us that material, whether it's a report on healthcare or whatever it is, but I think that your capacity to do that is something that is a real value to the taxpayers in this county because it helps us understand. And you always do it with a smile, and we appreciate that. Thanks.
And I'd like to add, you know, in a service business that I'm in, you know, when we're hiring somebody, I always look at the person and the applicant coming in and see if there's a sense of urgency in their pace. If they don't have that, they'll never even get an interview. And I can't keep up with you in the halls, so you're in great shape. Thanks for your service.
I did for a while.
You did, yes.
Always have it.
Did change with the changes. One separately and one up.
Yep. Okay. We need to come this way.
Yeah. And then we'll get you Beth in a second. We're going to do two.
Now, without bringing you along? Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Sorry, everybody's going to get
No offense, but you guys look good up there together.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, can I say something real quick? You'll see her hair is shorter than it used to be. She donated to the Locks of Love.
Next, we have Rhonda Bodel. She started her service December 6th, 1999. And she I'm so sorry. She's in the records department, and her service 20 years. I am so sorry that came out wrong.
I know I'm old.
No, you're not.
Leslie. Okay. Leslie.
Thank you, Commissioners, for recognizing Rhonda and her 20 years working for Lycoming County. Just a little bit of history. Rhonda started in December of '99 with domestic relations. She moved up to the mailroom in September of 2005. Since Rhonda started working for the IS team, she has brought the team dedication to our group. During her time in the mailroom, she implemented Pitney Bowes, and then 5 years later, implemented NeoPost. Both were a learning curve, but Rhonda showed leadership with both. She organized the mailroom so it was efficient for everybody. She created a process so the warehouse and the monthly bills could be coded in a timely manner. Rhonda then moved to records retention in December of 2014. Rhonda works well with all departments on a daily basis. They contact her for daily polls, shredding, and retention needs. Rhonda goes above and beyond to help everywhere and anybody, either if it's elections with Forrest or in the IS, or backing up the mailroom, helping in the print shop if needed. She's an exceptional employee, and I thank you.
Thank you. Carl?
She didn't know I was going to talk, so I would like to add my own comments to this, just to say that despite the handicap of being a Philadelphia Eagles fan, it has been a privilege and an honor being the supervisor of an employee. The quality of Rhonda.
Thank you.
She's outstanding.
Thank you very much. Well, we know that she does a good job because every time that we request an old file or an old document, that it's located, found, and that is important. Although I know our paths haven't crossed a lot, in the 4 years that I've been here, I know just from Carl and Leslie's comments that they run a very exceptional operation, and your reliability and dedication, obviously have to be very good. hopefully 20 years, hopefully you have another 10 years, 15 years. But we appreciate your dedication.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rhonda. I think the last time we were there was when we came and did our tour of the records retention. Maybe we should hang out there more often, but we might get underfoot.
I'm always there.
No, but echoing what my colleague said, it's very important to us, and you're one of the folks that the taxpayers don't see much of either, but they should understand that it's folks like you that keep this county moving and keep it efficient. I bet you've seen a lot of change also in the 20 years in terms of what you do with records, what the state requires you to do, right?
Yes.
Well, thank you for effectuating all those changes. We appreciate it.
And I'll ditto those remarks, Ron. Thanks for your service. And we don't get to see you too often, but you're all over the place. So just hope, you don't ask for a building for more records retention.
We all have dreams.
Thank you. If you please come forward.
Carl and Leslie. Do they want to come up, Carl and Leslie?
John Yingling started his service in December 4th, 1989 for DPS, and it would be a 30-year service.
I think this morning Director McDermott has some comments.
John, 30 years of dedicated service to the county. Wow. I think I'd be remiss if we didn't bring up a couple of reminders of part of that 30-year experience. I understand a coworker picked up a recycling truck from getting repaired and attempted to stop at the red light in South Williamsport. When the brakes were applied, the truck stopped and the cab fell forward. Apparently, John, Dan, and Dave were on their way back to RMS from a commissioners meeting when they saw the cab over and got out to help and push the cab back over. I also understand that you all experienced an extraordinary surprise based on the contents that were within that cab. I'll just leave it at that.
True statement.
Apparently, there are reports that you may have been looking for or trying to compete for a spot on the Starsky and Hutch series because there was an incident at the front gate where you were responding to and seen basically coming to a skidding stop in your vehicle, jumping out of the vehicle and sliding across the, and very much looked like a scene from Starsky and Hutch.
Also a true statement.
I think we're all aware John always thinks practically pretty much just about everything. And I guess it's been rumored that you were actually bragging to the guys at RMS about buying your wife tires for Christmas because it was the practical thing to do.
I made that same statement yesterday at the end of loss prevention meeting to several people that tires, or in this case, buying your wife a tourniquet is a
It's also said that apparently the county's recycling program really took off big time when you finally cleaned out your office there.
Still trying to find what happened to my chair.
But hey, on a more serious note, over a 30-year career of service to the county of Lycoming, you have certainly gone through a myriad of career milestones. One, where you found yourself fitting in. Two, where you were seen as an expert in your functional area. Three, you experienced a sense of belonging to this family we call Lycoming County. Four, you developed a sense of being invested and proud of your contributions. Five, you became identified as a veteran of the county government who experienced much change throughout the county and were able to impart your knowledge and experience onto younger employees. Six, you reached a milestone where you experienced triumph by celebrating past and current victories, like the most significant milestone, and that's about the 25-year mark. And finally, at 30 years, you have evolved into a consummate mentor with plenty of knowledge and experience to pass on to all other employees. I can say that you have confidently and expertly provided me with expert counsel, advice, and vision to assist me with making critical decisions and the ability to advance critical recommendations to the Board of Commissioners during my relatively short time as the Director of Administration. And for that, I truly thank you, John. I also submit that your matriculation through these important career milestones is certainly something to be extremely proud of, while providing you solace that your service and efforts have improved not only the lives of those employees that you helped develop, but the safety and well-being of the residents of this wonderful county of Lycoming that we all call home. As you move on to the next chapter that waits ahead of you, know that your accomplishments are many, and we will miss things that are written or said in English, and many things that you made Yingling proof. And more importantly, always being the eye candy at the various important meetings that required that capability.
Thank you, Director. John, I can't think of anybody else that, as a team of commissioners, that we've probably spent more time with you as a department head than most departments, whether it's on safety, 911, national or natural disasters, countywide EMS, EMT issues, the multi-county with the Lycoming, Tioga, Sullivan County EMS, just a various number of different concerns that we have as a community, and always thinking ahead and trying to be prepared for the what-ifs, and hoping that you never have to call on the expertise of your department to manage those situations. Your dedication to the county and the region as a whole is, there's very few people that have that dedication. I appreciate your service, and thank you for your 30 years of service to the county.
Thank you.
And I noticed that Eileen didn't say 1989. But That's a long time, but I think what's fascinating is that what the director showed also is that you came and you took more and more responsibility and you took more and more leadership. And just as an aside, that's probably one of the greatest things about working for the county is that you can start off in one place, and if you're willing to take that leadership and show that initiative, and it's not without personal sacrifice. I'm sure that there are many Friday nights or at dinners or at 2 o'clock when you've gotten calls or you've gotten beeped. But you've really made a contribution to the public, and we're grateful for that. And also in what you do outside the county. You know, you've been with the fire, how long?
I've been an EMT since 1977, and pretty much, except for a period of time when I was on active duty military, I've been affiliated with either a volunteer fire or EMS agency.
That's a long time. And so I thank you for that also. But as Commissioner said, you know, you have always been there. You've had always tried to keep us up to speed and to educate us. And I thank you for that, John.
Thank you, sir.
And wish you luck in retirement.
Thank you.
We're going to miss your Yinglingisms. No one's going to be able to replace that. Some of the things you say is just incredible. How many people have ever been in John's office?
And they're all alive.
Okay, so you can attest that if RMS was counting on your papers for recycling, they'd be broke. Because you just don't give it up.
I will reference, Director Demai's statement about needing additional space. You may need to build the Yingling wing.
But anyway, I was up there just this week, and he has stacks and stacks of papers. I said, "Hey, when are you gonna get rid of some of this stuff?" He says, "I already did." But he had them so organized. You don't have a filing cabinet. Okay, I didn't see one in there unless it was covered.
It was covered.
We need to get his replacement. and he has these stacked in a particular order that he needs to go over all these stacks with the new director that's coming in. It's incredible, your accomplishments and your dedication to this county. It never goes unnoticed, trust me. One of the biggest challenges in trying to find your replacement is they just don't stack up. And it's going to be very difficult to replace you. And I think we've had, 50 applicants so far. And it's, well, maybe we should ask him to stay a little bit longer. But we will miss you. And I'm sure that during the transition, and it doesn't look like it's going to happen real soon, we'll ask you to stay on a little bit to help them out because you have an incredible responsibility to this county, and we appreciate everything you've done. Thanks, John.
Thank you, Commissioners. And if I can, for a few seconds, if I may, this is not going to be a long Lusconian speech, but I just did want to come back and say that, coming off active duty military and coming here to the county, in 30 years of service, seeing the changes in technology, the changes in social beliefs, and the changes in the Marcellus Shale and the impacts and the growth. We've seen a lot, we've worked a lot, and at times we still face the same challenges we've had, whether it's on the county's emergency operation plan, severe weather, flooding, those hazardous materials incidents, or at RMS, which I did work, if you didn't realize, for 10 years, not always under the name of John Yingling. I think my name was Bob, right? Thank you, sir. He can fill you in on that one later. But at that point, you've seen challenges in markets, again, technology, so it's an ever-evolving world. And if anybody becomes stagnant, this is to the workforce here, don't look back to 2005, look forward to 2025. Try to master the technology, the realms, and understand the opportunities that are out there as well as the risk. It's been my pleasure to serve, sirs. Thank you.
Thank you.
You should have told you to take it to fly away.
Go on, go.
See, we wanted you on film here, John, because when this guy asked for money, it means a bond. Vegan friendly. With the fur on it. Thanks, buddy.
At this time, we'll move back to the action items, 2.1 on the agenda.
Roxanne Grieco, approve update the TDA and totals report.
Good morning, Commissioners. In the District Attorney's Office in Central Processing, we're looking to add 4 part-time Central Processing officers. And at the Department of Public Safety and Communications, we're requesting to change the pay grade of the full-time addressing coordinator, GIS specialist, from a pay grade 6-7 to a pay grade 7-8.
And Ms. Grieco, those central processing positions are paid for out of the money that we collect, and they're part-time. Nobody works more than 1,000 hours, but part of it is the ability to help fill in the scheduling, correct?
I believe it's the scheduling, and I believe they have a backlog of some information that they need to process.
That's right, the backlog. Thank you.
Need a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
And moving on to the next, we're asking for personnel actions to be approved. At the prison, Dustin Mitchley as a full-time replacement correctional officer relief, pay grade CO1, $16.81 per hour effective December 2nd, 2019. At pre-release, Abigail Burley as a part-time replacement female resident supervisor, pay grade 5, $14.14 per hour effective December 1st, 2019, and this is limited to 1,000 hours annually.
Thank you. Need a motion?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Director Yorks has the next 7 items from 2.3 to 2.9.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. First off, I'd like to start by saying if you are ever angry at me, you can blame Director Yingling because he's the one that helped me get hired in the county. He took the job with the public safety, and we served at the same firehouse, and I asked him about the opening in recycling, so he told me to put in for it. And it's an honor to work with John outside of the county and inside the county. So with that said, Commissioners, 2.3, 2020's RMS fee schedules. These fee schedules that will be for 2020 are no increases. The only addition is that we will be able to accept clean fill at the price of $25 per load.
Thank you. Need a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. I didn't hear you guys.
Oh,
Sorry. Go ahead.
2.4 is approved amendment number 1. This is our 2017 bottled water service that we have with Topohawk and Mountain Spring Water. This is amendment number 1 is for a 3-year agreement with no price increase.
Thank you. Need a motion?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you.
Number 2.5 is amendment number 3. It's to the 2017 tire recycling agreement we have with Mahan Tango. Commissioners, this is a 1-year extension at no price increase for our tire recycling.
Thank you. Need a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
2.6 is approved amendment number 1 to the 2018 purchase agreement that we have with Petro Choice Holdings. This is our lubrications, whether it be grease oils, fuel, mixture additives, for an as needed basis. This is for all the equipment, trucks, heavy equipment, and so forth.
Thank you. Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
2.7 is a purchase agreement with Core Main for HDPE pipe in the amount of $20,271.78. Commissioners, this is, again, a purchase that we typically make every year at least once. This pipe will be used for gas collection, leachate movement, whatever that we need in the facility. Core Main was the lowest compliant bidder for HD pipe.
Thank you. Need a motion?
I'll move to approve the contract.
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
2.8 is approve a purchase agreement with QED Environmental Systems. This is for landfill gas well accessories. This is an accompanying to the HDP pipe purchase. This is in the amount of $1,668.45.
Thank you. Need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
2.9, this is a consent assessment of civil penalty with the Department of Environmental Protection in the amount of $20,000. Commissioners, first off, this was an item that I was still working on earlier this week between the solicitor, Director McDermott, and myself in the Department of Environmental Protection. This is a direct reflect from an NOV, notice of violation, that the landfill received last year with the cap failure. In March of 2018, we had a significant cap failure, and when I say cap, it is for fields 1 through 4. When fields are finished in a landfill, they cap them. Am I getting too close to this? I'm getting feedback. The cap failed. There's 2 foot of soil on top of a PVC liner in fields 1 through 4. In March of 2018, the cap exposed the PVC liner. There was no risk to the environment or nothing. This is just simply a cap that you close off old landfills with. The PVC then split in a small section. We self-reported to the department the day that it occurred. We then proceeded, as you know, we brought forth a project to completely redo the cap. While we were designing the new drainage system and new cover for the cap, we suffered then another slide in July of 2018. The slide was significant. We had experienced an enormous amount of rainfall at one time. I believe it was like the 22nd to the 24th, somewhere in that neighborhood. We had to, again, self-report. We suffered probably half an acre of soil slid. It did come to a stop before coming down on the road, but it was just confirmation that more work needed to be done. We then last year went out, bid the project, finished it and completed, and the cap is now under it's the new design. It's seated, it's done, and it's working just fine. But part of the work through that, once we had to get it completed, the Department of Environmental Protection, having cited us with an NOV, the next step in an NOV is to bring forth a penalty. Now, this also reflects washouts and gullies and stuff that we had leachate outbreaks on the slopes during this heavy rain period. But this is in the amount of $20,000. I had it before you. I recommend your payment. The NOV will be on my compliance history for 5 years with the landfill, as all NOVs are. But this is able to finish up now because the cap is completed and we're signed off on the QAQC with the department. So I appreciate the leniency of allowing me to get this on the schedule today with the given holiday season coming. Thank you.
Thank you. I think maybe the underlying item on this is that it was beyond our control.
Yes, sir.
And we paid attention to it as soon as it became an issue. And the bigger item was the actual slide that occurred. We had to repair, and we did get the engineer to accept responsibility.
We are working on that, yes, okay. and that is ongoing. There is working through that.
Okay.
Yes.
And I'd like to thank the Department of Environmental Protection Agency for showing some leniency there.
Yes,
and I'm sure that leniency was due to the fact that you comply with most everything, and this was beyond your control, and that you guys run a great and efficient landfill over there, and I think that's why they took it easier on us.
Thank you.
I know that in following up with what Commissioner McSarah is saying on page 3, the department actually, under paragraph V, had the authority to assess $25,000
per item. Yes.
Per item, but they actually only assessed us $20,000 per all the items.
Yes.
So that is as my colleague pointed out, we do appreciate DEP's leniency there, although as he stated, it was beyond our control. How long had the cap been on fields 1 to 4?
It had been completed, I believe, in the fall of 14, Commissioner.
Okay.
And we had one small crack in it in spring of 15 that was repaired, no issues. But with the heavy saturation of the soil, and then when you add in the freezing factors, the PVC was smooth. So 2 foot of soil frozen on top of PVC at a 3-to-1 slope doesn't offer much resistance. The shear factor was there, and the coefficient for friction was not there. So that was part of it. And also, the goal with the new cap design that we focused on was working with an engineering firm that allowed to focus on the drainage. So as we experienced these massive rains that we took in for the last year and a half, as the water goes into the soil, there's a wicking system underneath it that gets the moisture out of there. So,
well, hats off to you too for not for doing the right thing in reporting it and so forth, and
absolutely
not trying to just.
We always try to work hand in hand with the department. They're there every month. They have a great staff, and they've always been willing to come out anytime we call them for any assistance.
I do think that we did learn something out of that too. I think a new and improved way for capping fields in the future.
Absolutely. We completely then redid the design and the permit for the rest of the cap when we go forward.
Thank you. Need a motion?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
2.10, Austin Daly, the 2019 Fair, City of Williamsport Subrecipient Agreement Extension.
Good morning, Commissioners. So today I have for you a subrecipient agreement between the City of Williamsport and the county in the amount of $200,000. This stems from the 2018-2019 Fair Grant. The program is the Park Avenue Neighborhood Rental Rehab Program. This will provide property owners in the Park Avenue neighborhood, so basically everything from UPMC south of 4th Street and then Campbell Street east to Market Street. It's expected that 8 property owners will be able to make repairs to their rental apartments in that neighborhood, bringing them up to code, making them handicap accessible, things of that nature. This is through the Fair Grant, so it's entirely grant funded. And it's part of the overall City of Williamsport Park Avenue Neighborhood Revitalization Plan.
Thank you. We did have a fair amount of discussion on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
Need a motion?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second that, but I'd also like to add a comment that the fair money is so vital to our region. And it's through the hard work of people like yourself that monitor this program that it's still in existence. And all this, I believe all the money that we get through this came through the Act 13.
Yeah, it stems from that. There's a formula the state uses based off of the amount of natural gas that's produced from a given county. The county has received like $8.75 million in the last 7 years, so we've been very fortunate in that regard.
And so improving, it's not limited to just low income. There are opportunities out there to apply to improve the neighborhoods, which its intent was for. So
correct. Yeah,
you're doing a great job.
One of the great parts about this program specifically is that because FAIR requires 30% of the monies to be spent on low-income households, households who earn less than 50% of the median income, the units that will be designated for those individuals will be effectively locked in at a rent that's at or below fair market. So these will be available. They won't get, their rents won't go up, and people won't be, booted because their property owner was able to improve it. So we're fortunate in that regard.
Thank you. Need a motion? Oh, we got a motion second. All those in favor? Aye. Motion is approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
2.11 DNA Diagnostics Center Incorporated Parentage Testing, Stephanie Tribble.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is an extension of the Pennsylvania Bureau of Child Support Enforcement's existing genetic testing contract with DDC, the DNA Diagnostics Center. This contract extension would run through January 31st of 2020. Essentially, this contract just mandates all of the domestic relations offices across the state on the way we do the genetic testing sampling, that we're using the same lab and certainly charging the same rates across the state.
Thank you. Need a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
2.12 Armstrong Township Assignment Agreement of Sale, commence, Sylvandale 2019 with Jenny.
Good morning. This first agreement is to assign the purchase agreement between the county and Mr. Kometz to Armstrong Township. It is for $1,384,000 to purchase 225 acres of land in Armstrong Township as part of the Sylvandale property. This would assign the agreement between the county and Mr. Kometz to Armstrong Township, so the township could purchase the property.
Thank you. Need a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
And then we have Jenny again with 2.13 Armstrong Township Assignment of Agreement of Sale, Rakestraw, Sylvandale 2019.
All right, this is a similar agreement in that we are, I'm requesting approval to assign the agreement between the county and Mr. Rakestraw to Armstrong Township to purchase a portion of the Rakestraw property. It's to purchase approximately 39 acres of the wetland portion of his property, and that will be exchanged for approximately 36 acres of the Kometz property. So instead of the county purchasing it, it would be Armstrong Township purchasing it as part of the Sylvandale Conservation Site.
Thank you. Need a motion?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second. I would like to say one thing that when constituents get involved into a project such as Jim Dunn did, this is what can happen to a community. And it's been 3 or 4 years now, right?
Yeah, about 3.
Right. And as Commissioner Maravito used to say, this is going to be a great addition to something that you can do in Lycoming County. Go and see and enjoy the wildlife. And so I just would be remiss of us not to thank Jim Dunn for his hard work and all the hard work that you've done as well.
Thank you. And I just wanted to say that the county's investment of $375,000 leveraged over $1 million of state funds. So that's a big help. So it does show partnership and investment on your behalf.
And just remind us where that 337 came from.
Sure, I do believe it's growing greener. It could possibly be at 13 as well.
Right. It wasn't property tax.
No, definitely not. So it was a funding dedicated specifically for parks and open space, and that leveraged $514,000 in DCNR funding and $600,000 in PennVest grant funds.
Thank you, Jenny, for the reminder.
Welcome. Thank you.
Need a motion?
We good?
Oh, we did. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you.
All right, great.
Okay.
2.14, Maya Tunes, Antilia Psychological Services, LLC.
Good morning, Commissioners. This is for the Public Defender's Office for them to perform psychological evaluations and provide expert services as needed for their department.
Thank you. Need a motion?
A second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
2.15 with Maya Tune resolution for surplus property in excess of $1,000.
There are 4 lots of surplus property that we have, all that are vehicles. They've either exceeded their lifespan or unnecessary repairs that exceed the value of keeping it on board as property.
Thank you. Need a motion?
Move to approve.
A second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
2.16 with Rodney Morehart, PA American Water, Agreement of Sale 2019 nitrogen credits.
Good morning. I ask that you approve the agreement of sale for the nitrogen credits. PA American Water, 11,281 credits that we'll be selling at $3 per credit.
Rodney, I have a question for you. The credits, I'm not sure which year they started. I know they somewhere 8-10 years ago. But as we move further and further into the Chesapeake Bay, you know, the initiatives, stormwaters and whatnot, are you seeing the chances of the prices per credit going up in future years?
I believe so, yeah, because you have more entities like the MS4s that will potentially need them. So.
And they can or cannot be carried over?
No, they're for one water year only.
Okay.
Which water year is October 1st through September 30th of the next year.
Thank you.
You need a motion?
I'll move to approve.
A second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
2.17, City of Lancaster, PA American Water, Agreement of Sale 2019 nitrogen credits. Rodney Morehart.
I think it's just the city of Lancaster, right? Or is it City of Lancaster, PA Water?
No, it's just City of Lancaster.
City of Lancaster, yes. Thank you.
Yeah, they're willing to purchase our remaining credits after we made the initial sale to PA American Water for $4 per credit. And the total sale would be for 7,558 credits.
Now, as we take a look at the map, the Pennsylvania map, and a lot of pressure is coming on Pennsylvania with these regulations because they feel that we pollute 70% of the pollution is coming from Pennsylvania, which I would argue. But when you look at the map, we see that Lancaster, Lebanon, those areas around there show up very red in the pollution. And so in the future, and I say this to everyone that can help our environment, our streams here, collect some of these credits, I believe that those regulations are getting stricter and will be needed more and more by those areas down there.
I would agree.
Is part of the requirements to do this, it has to be an actual farm property? Could it be wooded? If somebody had a large tract of wooded land, could they apply for the credits?
That I'm not sure of. We've never approached it that way.
I think as long as there's water involved in it, like at the golf course, we had wooded areas and a stream, had to do with erosion.
Well, like the example of the golf course, to translate it to what we do with the ag community, I could see that generating credits maybe if there's a decrease in the amount of nitrogen or phosphorus that's applied. That would be the tie-in. But
You have to do some management practice that actually
Right.
generates a saving or a reduction in the nitrogen. Actually,
right.
the project that they did at the golf course, I believe it was before I came here, but we looked at it once when we were down there. I think that did reduce. Remember, what did they do? They did something.
Reduce sediment, but I'm not sure if that would have qualified.
Right. Okay.
We could speak more about it later, and I'd be willing to speak with our counterparts at DEP and Harrisburg to determine if we could.
Thank you. Thank you. Need a motion?
I'll move to approve.
A second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chelsea Blair with 2.18, adopt resolution 2019-19, relief well funding resolution, RCAP, sorry.
And if I recall, this is an add-on for today, isn't it? Or was it on? Yeah.
Yeah, it's an add-on today. Okay, good morning, Commissioners. Whereas the Pennsylvania Capital Facilities Debt Enabling Act authorizes funding for eligible economic development capital projects through the Redevelopment Assistance Capital Program, RCAP, RACP. And whereas the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania awarded $1 million of RACP for construction, infrastructure, rehabilitation, and other related costs for levee system to the County of Lycoming. And whereas the County of Lycoming, the City of Williamsport, and the Borough of South Williamsport have identified recertification and maintenance of the levee system as a top priority, and whereas the County of Lycoming is committed to funding the required $1 million local match, including any gap funding based on the rough order of magnitude, for a total potential project of $2,600,078,955, and whereas the funding is currently available in the county's 2020 budget under cash reserves. Now therefore be it resolved, the County of Lycoming has committed funding for the local share of matching. So this is just based on the RACP funds that Senator Yaw and the state had awarded us a little over a year ago. It's really the funding source that really began the progress that we have made to now.
Thank you, Chelsea. And my recollection is that we have RFPs out right now for this relief level work.
Yes, and actually, thanks to Maya, we were just notified this morning that there's one potential bidder so far. So
it's a very specialized area of work.
Yes.
Chelsea, where are you originally from?
I'm originally from Sullivan County.
Sullivan County.
Yeah.
You came to here for the job at Williamsport, or no?
Yes. So
where
I
did
went
you
from the
look
sticks
at?
to the big city.
Well, we thank you for the service. You were a tremendous asset to the county.
Thank you.
Williamsport's lost, but
Thank you.
Need a motion?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. At this time, we need to recess the Commissioners' meeting and convene the Salary Board.
Hello again, Commissioners.
Good morning.
We are asking for an update to the salary schedule in the District Attorney's Office, Central Processing, for the addition of the 4 part-time Central Processing officers, and in the Department of Public Safety Communications, changing of the pay grade for the full-time Addressing Coordinator GIS Specialist from a 6-7 to a pay grade 7-8.
Thank you. At this time, we'd like to get a motion.
I move to make a motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate the Controller's Office being here for the Salary Board. At this time, we'll adjourn the Salary Board and reconvene the Commissioners' meeting. We're at the point of reports and information. I think, are you planning to give anything, Beth? Okay, then the floor is yours.
Again, Commissioners, I have a preliminary 2020 budget that I'd like to present for public display. Projected revenues are $96.6 million. That is $62,867 increase over 2019. Projected expenditures are $110 million. That is a $6.8 million increase over the current budget. The increase in revenues are due to the following. We have a $2 million increase in grant revenues for next year. We have $118,000 combined increase in our cost and fines and investments. And those two increases are offset by a decrease in property tax revenue due to a combination of a large number of appeals which resulted in decreased assessed values and a corrective adjustment by fiscal to bring the projection closer to actual. The increase of expenditures is mostly due to 2 items. Capital purchases increase $4.3 million. The larger capital improvements are for County Public Safety Department, including 911, buildings to house judicial proceedings, expansion of the county coroner space, and necessary building maintenance and improvements. All the above-mentioned projects will be funded with either the county's 2018 bond series, which we still have $9 million, and or Act 13, which we have $15 million. Prior to the 2019 proposed budget, fringe benefits had been charged to one department for all county employees. As of 2020, the Commissioner had requested us to charge them directly on each department. And as a result, it shows an increase in the operating department's expenses. So it looks like all the departments increased, but technically if we backed out where we spread that around, most of our departments had a decrease in their operating expenses. And then, of course, there's a corresponding decrease of $7.8 million in the fringe department itself. This preliminary budget will be available for public inspection on the county website, www.lyco.org, through our new OpenGov platform. Hard copies are available during normal business hours from 8:30 to 5, holidays excluded, in the following county offices: Commissioners, Controller Office, Fiscal Services, and we'll have a hard copy available at the James Reed Brown Library. Commissioners have scheduled 3 town hall meetings for public comment and discussion. We have one left, which is tonight right here at 6:30 to 7:30. We encourage public comments, and there is handouts in the back table if anyone wants to grab any now, but they'll be available this evening as well. And any additional adjustments made between today's public display and final approval will be announced at the public meeting on Thursday, December 19th, 2019.
Thank you. I do think two of the things that you mentioned, the funding for a potential coroner's office, public safety, and the judicial, they were both included in this year's budget, I believe, and we just rolled them forward because we have not been able to secure the proper locations to do that work. And I think tonight we will also have, probably on the big screen back here, we will have the OpenGov shown as a demonstration.
And county employees are welcome to come to see it as well, but we will be putting it out for the county employees so that they understand how to use it and how it works.
Thank you. At this time, commissioner comment. There being no commissioner comment, I guess I would just like to say that this will be our last meeting until December 3rd. So wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving next week, a safe holiday with your family and friends. Is there any public comment this morning? If there's no public comment, we will adjourn the meeting. We will be back here this evening at 6:30. Thank you all.